Welcome to section 8.3. This is going to be on circle graphs. I'm on page 362 from your textbook, and the essential question states, how can you use a circle graph to show the results of a survey? Okay, so here's in your textbook, there's a nice, pretty colorful illustration of what a circle graph might look like. In this one, you can see it's different types of sports. It states 600 middle school students were asked, what is your favorite sport? The circle graph shows the results of the survey. So just by looking at which sections are larger, like the basketball is a fairly large slice of the pie, if you will. So, and also football, it indicates that football and basketball were the two most popular sports. Some of the less popular sports might be soccer. It's a smaller sliver. It's like a smaller slice of the pie. All right, so we're going to be working with these. We're going to learn how to draw a circle graph and how to interpret them. So now at this point you should have your notes handy. And you're going to be looking, we're going to read together 8.3 circle graph notes. Okay, so our notes state that a circle graph displays data as sections of a circle. The sum of the angle measures in a circle graph is 360 degrees. Now that's true for any circle. Any circle, the sum of the angle measures is always 360 degrees. So we'll have to use that information for some of the exercises that we're doing. And then in the middle of your page, there's an example of a circle graph. This one is favorite fruit. It's not as colorful as the other one, but according to the circle graph here, 40% of the people surveyed chose apples as their favorite fruit. 35% said bananas are their favorite fruit. 25% prefer oranges. The circle represents all of the data. The percents total 100%. So look at that, 40% plus 35%, that would be 75%, and 75% plus 25% is 100%. So for any circle graph, your percents are always going to add up to 100%. Finally, when the data are given in percents, we can multiply the decimal form of each percent by 360 degrees to find the angle measure for each section. So let's say that I wanted to find the angle measure for the 40% who prefer apples. I would just calculate 40% of 360 degrees. So on my calculator, I would type in 0.4 times 360, and that would give me a value of, I can't see it very well, I hope it's showing up okay. It would give me an answer of 144, so that would be 144 degrees. And then if I use a protractor, we're going to talk about how to do that as well. So that's going to help us find the angle measures. All right, so we're going to look at the practice 8.3 sheet. We're going to go through some of these problems together. Okay, so I'm going to do numbers 1, 3, 4, and 6 with you. For number 1, find the angle measure that corresponds to the percent of a circle. So in number 1, I'm given 50%. So I need to find 50% of, I know my circle is 360 degrees. So 50% of 360 degrees. Okay, well to do that, I'm going to think of this as 0.50, because remember the percent, when you convert from a percent to a decimal, you're going to move your decimal back 2 spaces to the left. So 0.50. The word of tells me to multiply, so I'm going to say times, and I'm going to use parentheses, and I'm going to put 360 degrees. And on my calculator, I'm going to say 0.5 times 360. I already know that means half, so I know what it's going to be, 180. So it's 180 degrees for number 1. So 50% of 360 degrees is 180 degrees. Number 3, I'm given 9%. So again, I'm going to convert this to a decimal, and I'm going to multiply it by 360. So this time, remember you have to move your decimal back 2 places, so it's going to become 0.09. Okay, it's not 0.9, it's going to be 0.09. because you have to divide that by 100. And then multiply that times 360 degrees. So 0.09 times 360 gives me 32.4 degrees. That's my answer to number 3. Okay, so that's how you'll do a problem like that. Now for numbers 4 and 5, I don't have enough space to do these because they're asking me to display the data in a circle graph. So this is where we're going to actually use our protractor to draw the circle graph. So number 4, I'm going to have to do on a separate sheet of paper. Okay. And these are not difficult, but you do have to pay attention because there are a lot of things that are going on in these problems. All right, so for number 4, I'm going to turn it around this way, I guess. Okay, so for number 4, I'm going to first rewrite my table on my paper because I want to add some additional columns to the right of it. So, and I'm going to use a pen so that you can see it in the video. I don't want it to be too pale. So for number 4, we have, this is pizzas. We've got a column for toppings, a column for pizzas ordered. We have a column. Then I'm going to put in my own columns. So they're giving me numbers for, so let's fill this in first. We've got toppings are pepperoni, sausage, peppers, extra cheese. Pizzas ordered, they give us numbers of 6, 6, 3, and 5. Okay. I want an additional column for percent of, well, let's just say percent. So to find the percent, how am I going to find the percent? So I need to know, I know, if I have a percent, I know how to convert it to degrees like I did back in numbers 1 and 3. So how do I get my numbers into percent? So I have to figure out how much they are out of 100. So let's add up our total. If we add up all these numbers, 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 3 is 15, plus 5 is 20. So I have a total of 20. Then I just need to get the percent, I just need to calculate 6 out of 20. What percent is 6 out of a total of 20? So I would do that by saying 6 divided by 20. So 6 divided by 20, my calculator says 0.3. Okay, well 0.3, if I write that as a percent, I move the decimal 2 places and it would be 30%. Okay, sausage is the same number, so it's also 30%. Peppers, this is going to be 3 out of 20. So if I do 3 divided by 20, that gives me, it says 0.15, so that means 15%. Extra cheese is 5 out of 20, so I want 5 divided by 20, and that's 25%. Now to check and make sure this is correct, all of these percentages, if I add them up, they should add up to 100%. So 30 plus 30 is 60, 60 plus 15 is 75, 75 plus 25 is 100, so they do add up to 100%, so that's good. Now, in order to draw the circle graph, I need to convert these percentages into degrees. So I want another column for degrees. And then I can use the protractor to find the angles. So to convert 30% into degrees, remember we did 0.3 times 360. So I'm going to say 0.3 times 360, and I get 108. So that's 108 degrees. Okay, sausage was the same percent, so it'll have the same degree, also 108 degrees. All right, then we had peppers were 15%, so I need to do 0.15 times 360. So 15% of 360 is 54 degrees. And then my last topping, extra cheese, I want to do 0.25 times 360, and that gives me 90 degrees. Okay, and I can check this. If I add all these up, they should add up to 360. So let's see, 108 plus 108 plus 54 plus 90, 360 degrees. So that's good. Now, how do we use this information to draw our circle graph? We've got all of our degrees that we need. We've got a protractor. All right, so I'm going to start with a central spot on my paper, and it's going to be kind of hard to get this all to fit in. I'm going to have to kind of scoot this part of it up some to have enough space probably. But I'm going to start with a point. I'm going to put my point right here. And I'm also going to use my I'm going to use my pencil for some of this because I may have to erase it. And you should be using your pencil, of course. I'm only using a pen so you can see it. So on the protractor, if you look at the protractor, there is a little hole right here. And beside that hole, you see a line that goes in both directions. And some protractors have a line that goes this way as well, above the hole. So my hole is right there. So I'm going to put my hole on top of the circle that I just drew, and then I'm going to line these lines on the protractor up so that they're sitting directly on top of the line of my paper. And now I'm ready to find my first angle measure. Okay, so just take a moment and make sure that the lines on the protractor are sitting on top of the lines of your paper. Okay? The pepperoni was 108 degrees. So I start looking at these numbers, and I notice that I've got numbers on the top, and I also have numbers on the bottom. Okay, so we have to think about 108 degrees. Well, first of all, if you think about 90 degrees, this would be 90 degrees. That would be my right angle. 108 is more than 90. So if I'm starting let's say I start one side of my angle horizontally down here. In fact, I can go ahead and draw that in. So I'm going to draw to the right of my point. I'm going to draw a horizontal line like this, and then I'm going to put a little circle on top of the dot and make sure the lines are all lined up correctly. Okay, so here, this would create a 90-degree angle to here. I need to draw a 108-degree angle. Because 108 degrees is bigger than 90, I need to find the number that's bigger than 90. Okay, so I'm going to I need to make sure that it's starting here and it's going to open up to be, it needs to go like this, and it needs to open up to go beyond 90 degrees. So 108 is going to look kind of like that. So I find 108. Now on my protractor, I've got 100, I've got a line, and 110. So that means 108 is going to be about halfway between this middle line and the 110. So I can put my dot right there for 108 degrees. Now, would it be okay if I use the one over here? There's another 100 and a 110 here. Okay, that one would be wrong because that would be giving me an angle that's smaller than 90 degrees. So I've got to find the one that gives me an angle bigger than 90 degrees. So once I've got that, I'm going to move my protractor, and then I'm going to line up the straight edge so that I can draw a line here. And I have just created an angle of 108 degrees here. I'm going to sketch in the 108 even though I may not use it, but I do know that the 108 degrees corresponds with pepperoni, so I'm going to write pepperoni in. Okay. How do we get the next one? We need another 108 degree angle for sausage. Okay, so there's different ways you could do this. If you want, you could put your open circle on the protractor on top of your dot here and line it up with the one that you just drew and draw 108 from this line, which will bring you down here. So that's one way we can do it. As long as the line on the protractor is sitting on top of the line that you just drew, it'll work out just fine. 108, so look at where the 90 degree angle would be. 108 needs to be more. So this time I'm starting on this line, and I'm going to come around past 90 degrees, and 108 is going to be over here, close to 110. And then I can move my protractor And I can draw in my straight edge and connect those dots, and I've created the second 108-degree angle, and this one is sausage. Okay. The next one, peppers, was a 54-degree angle. So if you want to start from where you just drew, that's fine. You could put your circle from the little open circle on top of the dot that you started from, and make sure the lines are sitting on top of the line that you just drew. We need a 54-degree angle. Okay, now the way I've got mine positioned is not going to work because I would actually be going back into the sausage sector. I can't do that. I'm going to turn my protractor over this way. So if I turn it upside down, okay, I've got the line sitting on top of the line I just drew. Now I need to find 54. So I can see that I've got 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then there's 50, about half, so 54 is going to be right around here. Put a dot. Okay, does that make sense? Well, 54 is definitely smaller than 90, and if I started on this side, my 90-degree angle would have been all the way over here. So it's good that I'm not that far over. This should be an acute angle, and it is. So we'll connect those dots. And that one is peppers. Okay, and then the last one is 90 degrees. Well, let's look at what I have left now. That looks like a 90-degree angle. It looks like it came out perfectly. And if I put the protractor on top of it, I could put the open circle on the purple dot, and I can see that when I line up my lines, it's almost perfectly on the 90. So that's correct. So that's kind of a way that I can check if my remaining angle is the angle that it's supposed to be here in the table, then the rest of it should be correct. So this one was extra cheese. Okay, and then we have to draw the circle. I don't really have a good way to tell you to draw the circle. I'm going to do mine freehand, and it's not going to be very good, I'm sure, because I'm not very artistic. But there's my circle. Just make sure it goes all the way around all the pieces. And then I can go back and use my straight edge and draw in. I'm not even going to do that. You might want to color in the sections to distinguish them. So sausage, I'll do it in red just to make it look nice. Pepperoni, I'll do green. And then I had, let's see, I'll do a pink one and let's do a light blue one. So we'll do light blue for peppers. Kind of looks gray. And then maybe let's do yellow for extra cheese. Have I got a yellow? Yeah. You don't have to color it in, but it does make it look a little bit nicer. All right, so there's my circle graph. And I'll go back and erase these extra pieces that are sticking out. Okay, so that's what it looks like right there. That's my circle graph. I hope it shows up okay for you. There, let me go back in and darken the lines a little bit so you can see it better. So, there you go. So if you have questions about how to use your protractor, please don't hesitate to ask someone, me or Ms. Barmer or anybody who understands it. I'm assuming that you've done this in the past. Okay, but that's it as far as drawing the circle graph. It's got a lot of steps to it, but it's not hard once you get the hang of it. Okay, now if we go back to our practice sheet, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to scan this graph that I just did, and I will have it posted with this video so you can pull it up. If you want to print it, you can do that. It'll probably be black and white, but at least you'll have it to look at. All right, now back to the practice sheet, number 6. The circle graph shows the results from a class survey on favorite juice. Okay, so if you look at the circle graph, and you've got apple is 28%, grape is 20%, orange is 40%, other was 12%. In part A, compare the number of students who chose apple juice to the number of students who chose grape juice. Okay, so like I see over here, apple was 28%, grape was 20%, that's comparing it. You could say that it was 8% more chose Apple. Okay, so I'll say 8% more students chose apple juice. In part B, there are 25 students in the class. Find the number of students in each category. Okay, so to figure this out, I just need to find the percentages of 25. So for apple, I want to do 28% of 25. So that would be 0.28 times 25. And that would be 7. So 7 students. For grape, it was 20% of the 25 students. So I'm going to say 0.2 times 25. And that gives me 5 students. I'll write this in in case you need to see it. 20% of 25. For orange, they gave us 40%. So 40% of 25. So I'll type in 0.4 times 25, which is 10 students. And the other category, 12% of students chose something different. So 12% of 25, that's going to be 0.12 times 25, 3 students. Okay, and that's how that one works. So your assignment will be 8.3 practice A in your packet. And you should be able to look back at all this. And I'm going to have this scanned into Schoology so that you can access it that way as well. All right, good luck with these, and let me know if you have questions. Thank you.